goodness, and what we see is Norv's turning off is coming to fruition because Cam is actually a pocket quarterback. Who knew? Oh my goodness.
Tackles the Camry, busting through at the 30, 35, 40. Quick race down the right side. Here he goes at the 50, 40, to the Miami 30, 20, at the 10. A swipe with the ankles. They can't get him. Touchdown, Christian McCaffrey.
They can't get him. They can't get him. You're right.
They can't get him. But you can catch us, the C3 podcast, on Tuesday nights, chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions. I'm doing it tonight with my homeboy, producing the show, Cody Lashley in the house. How are you, my friend?
What's up, brother? I am wonderful. I think Marty Herney is a fan of the show because as soon as we brought up Eric Reid, he made it happen. That's right, Panther fans. You can thank me and Tony for making it happen. Let's go. I see you all in the chat. We have so much to talk about. I'm ready. I'm pumped. Let's do it, brother.
We had we're the only people that had that idea out of the entire Panther fan base. We alone had that. It's a fantastic thing. That's right. Guys, we've got a hell of a show tonight for it being a bye week. Tons to talk about. Tonight's show is Power to the Panthers. We've got Eric Reid is a Panther. It's an astonishing addition that we're all still trying to process. It helps us and hurts all the other teams in the NFC South who need a safety. So we've got reactions from players on the Panthers about this. We've got Marty Herney talking on it. We've got some audio from Eric Reid himself about this experience. And then we've got a special guest tonight, Bob Rose from Canal Street Chronicles at Bobby R2613. He's going to be joining us about a little over 10 minutes from now to talk about what the Saints learned about the New York Giants, who we face this Sunday. So we're getting a little scouting report from the enemy, and he doesn't know this yet, but we're scouting them too in the process. So we'll be asking him some sneak questions. Maybe we can learn some weaknesses on that team, and I can go ahead and tell you they're on the defensive side of the ball. But before we get into the show, guys, we want to go ahead and encourage you to be a part of the podcast by turning your phone to portrait mode, smashing that thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, hit like, share it in a Panther group, share it on your page. We appreciate you helping us grow Panther Nation together. And look, you guys are fantastic to hang out with and talk on Tuesdays. You can also consider supporting the podcast by buying a I Stand With Cam shirt that we printed 2 years ago, and it just is relevant all the time. So I had a new issue run. There's only a few. I think I only have about 10 for sale. You can find the link to that in the show notes. And if you're also feeling frisky, you can even consider donating to the podcast and helping us continue to grow this thing together. All right, so let's jump into some Panther talk with all that rigmarole out of the way. My first question to you, sir, is Marty Herney better at being Dave Gettleman than Dave Gettleman is at being Dave Gettleman? Marty Herney found an iPhone at the Dollar Tree in Eric Reid.
Dude, he found it behind a Pepsi machine, man. Listen, listen. All the credit in the world to Marty Herney, all the credit in the world to our entire organization for doing this. I mean, I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of other people, and I mean, we talked about it on the show last Tuesday. The thought of having Eric on the team was a pipe dream. We even said that it would never happen, and lo and behold, it did, man. And I think Torrey Smith deserves a ton of credit for speaking up in his interviews and making this happen and really being out there that Eric Reid deserves a job. And I really do think that our front office listened to that. As far as Marty is concerned, I mean, you have to respect it, man. After Denora Cersei went down, Colin Jones was our only answer back there. And I don't need to tell you or anyone in our chat room about Colin Jones, okay? we have upgraded substantially at the safety position. And I mean, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone, to be honest with you. I cannot remember the last time we had a free agent signing that was this impactful. I mean, it's insane.
I don't know
to
if
me.
I don't know if I can remember a time. Ken Lucas was a name that was kind of exciting at the time. Joseph Broach in the YouTube chat has a great line. He said, "Look, we just paid our punter twice as much as Eric Reid." So I did want to, and look, kudos, like we said, to the Carolina Panthers for making a move that was needed. Kudos to Marty Herney and the bunch for making a lot out of nothing when it comes to the offensive line. And starting to really put the pieces together, what looks like could be a positive draft for the Carolina Panthers, some different things like that. I don't want to over-congratulate the Panthers team. One of the things I didn't like about the initial conversation was how clappy we were over the Panthers, like taking this bold step. This, like, you guys really stepped on out there and did what was right, and everybody else, is that while I guess it's bold in one way and that nobody else did it, it's also, I think, what Joseph Broach is kind of implying, like, this is a no-brainer when it comes to football moves, especially when you factor in he's only getting paid $2 million. That you needed a safety. He's an elite safety. He's in the prime of it. He's 26 years old. He's never been in any trouble from what I can tell. There seems like zero risk at this point other than that initial PR thing that's going to be associated with this week, probably.
Well, and there's a lot of talk about Jerry Richardson, and would we have done this if Jerry Richardson was still the owner of the Panthers? And I think everyone's gut reaction is no, we wouldn't have done this. So when you see people applauding the Panthers for making this move, it's really hard to blame them, because this really does feel like a move that, it's unparalleled in Panthers history, not only because of all of the controversies that surround him in dealing with the national anthem and his relationship to the collusion case and Colin Kaepernick, but we've never had a player that was this talented but had this much of a circus connected to him. So I understand you saying not wanting to clap it up too prematurely. I mean, he still has to play and he still has to perform, but this is very uncharacteristic of what we traditionally know the Panthers to do when it comes to free agents.
Lynn says not zero risk, a lot of potential PR risk, and hoping it won't all be about Reid each week. Want him to melt into the defense and get his job done. Sure, there is, like I'm saying, that shade that kind of just comes along with the story, but I don't even feel like it's been over. Maybe I haven't been listening to the national voices a ton or enough to know how large it is in other places, because I'm kind of a local Charlotte outlet ourselves type of, Twitter. So I don't know how, like, Firestorm. I haven't heard about Donald Trump tweeting about it yet. So that's I almost feel like it is a huge deal and maybe not as big of a deal as a lot of people think. You win a couple of football games, all of a sudden this is, only a story, not the story.
Well, and it's all dependent on one thing, and we want to stick to football, and this is a football move, but because of the protests, this is a story that's going to continue, and we'll let you all hear what Eric has to say about his plans on further protesting while he is at Panther.
Yeah,
Eric, you said back in an article in March that you wouldn't be protesting this year if you played in 2018. Is that still the case, or have you changed your mind on that?
I said that I would be considering other ways, and I'm still considering.
Can you elaborate what that might be?
No.
Eric, did the Panthers ask you what your plans would be from
protest type standpoint?
Not before I signed, but I've talked to a couple people about it. As I said, I'm still evaluating the scope of our country, and I'll make that decision later.
What were your conversations?
I love that. That's my favorite line.
Team owner David.
Yeah.
I haven't met him yet.
So he
So this
hasn't
was
met
kinda-
David Tepper. He's
Yeah,
evaluating he's evaluating the scope of our country.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let me get back to what I'm really trying to do, folks, and let me evaluate this country. Nah, that's cool. I mean, hey, I don't got a problem with a guy being interested in the world we live in the society we live in. I do think it's kind of neat to see that David Tepper hadn't talked to him at all. I bet you that was part of his deal, is that this didn't need to be a strings attached deal. Like, you got to come in and make these concessions to us and these assurances. It doesn't seem like I think part of this is the good news about Eric Reid and why he may not be as divisive as a lot of people. There are two sides of this story. Is that one is that he is very divisive in the type of rhetoric he uses. And what I mean by is that it is not an apologetic, let's all get along and act like this doesn't happen or matter. There is the Black Pride message. There is, just some of the linguistics of the message can be off-putting to some people. But at the same time, if you listen to him, he can only make you so mad when he's like this. He's like the least excitable dude in the world, it sounds like. Here he was asked if he was excited to play football.
I guess first of all, talk about just being here and getting the opportunity to play again in the NFL. And were you ever concerned that this wasn't going to happen?
It's interesting. It actually came faster than I thought, but I'm happy to be playing football again.
Yeah. Just happy to be playing football again. I think this is where there's two things that I think are that get people riled up about Eric Reid. One is that he's unapologetically black, and I know that's it's gonna turn people off when I say that. But what I mean by that is I don't think he should be apologetically black. I'm just saying this is that he's not coming to the table saying, look, I want to put this in the past. I hope that this legal matter goes away. I hope that that we can just focus on winning football games. He's very matter of fact. He's very blunt in a way that's not rude. But I think that he's not cowering. He's not coming to the fan base on his knees asking for to be embraced. And I think that some people secretly want everybody to be like that.
Yeah, and listen, man, if he decides to protest going forward, then this is not going to be the last time we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about Eric Reid for a while, but we're also going to correlate that to his play on the field. And I feel, I agree with Legacy Lynn. His football talent can be a big boost for us. And, in my mind, if Eric comes in and does what we're all hoping that he does and plays incredible. I mean, we're in the NFC South. We're about to bring in Bob Rose. I mean, he's with the Canal Street Chronicles. The Saints they're always going to have a high-powered offense. The Falcons are always putting up numbers. You have to be able to stop teams from throwing the football, and you need high-powered safeties to be able to do that. That's what Eric Reid does. So if he does continue to protest, but at the same time does ball out on the field, I think a lot less people in the Carolinas are going to care about his opinions on the national anthem and protests than as much as they will him just playing on the field.
Yeah, can you play that one? You got the short clip of him talking about my people? I think we might have a clip there. Is that here is, I think, another reason that he has, and really it's because he's so closely tied to Colin Kaepernick is one of the reasons.
How strongly you feel about the issue of empowerment, the one that you're standing behind, why that was worth that potential risk?
I'll put it this way. Next year will be 2019. It'll mark 400 years since the first slaves touched the soil in this country. That's 400 years of systemic oppression. That's slavery, Jim Crow, new Jim Crow, mass incarceration, you name it, the Great Depression. They come out with the New Deal. Black people didn't have access to those government stimulus packages. The New Deal set up what is known as the modern-day middle class. We didn't have access to those programs, the GI Bill, Social Security, home loans, none of that. So this has been happening since my people have gotten here. And so I just felt the need to say something about it.
So when you get that type of language, you know, this, and as a historian, I'm going to go back. I'm interested in some of the things, like you said, about Social Security in the New Deal. You know, the New Deal is actually when African Americans switched from being predominantly Republican to being predominantly Democrats, right? I mean, if you think about it, the Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, was the one that advocated for African Americans. But at the same time, like, there is so much soundness to his message. There's a reality to a lot of those things that he is talking about. But I think it's here is that those voices have always been alive in the civil rights movement, these kind of unapologetic Black pride voices, which have always been divisive. I mean, you think about Malcolm X, you think about Muhammad Ali, you think about Marcus Garvey. All of these guys were preaching messages of separation and racial pride in a different way than, you know, we're accustomed to hearing, I think, in some cases. So that language itself, I think, can cause people to get stirred up. But we got plenty more to talk about with Eric Reid. We got plenty more other things that we need to talk about, whether it be with Marty Herney and Eric Reid, and how David Tepper is lending himself to supporting his players in this. But what we need to do now, let's go ahead and bring in our guest. We got Bob Rose from the Canal Street Chronicles joining us, and Bob is a writer for the New Orleans Saints. And I know you guys are asking, why did we bring in a Saints writer when we're about to play the Giants? But Bob, we got you here for two reasons. One, we want to know what you know about the Giants. And two, as things are shaking out, it looks like the Panthers and the Saints right now are neck and neck for this sucker in the NFC South. So welcome to the C3 podcast, Bob. Do we got you
up a little bit?
Okay. Bob, welcome to the C3 podcast. We're here because we got a lot of things to ask you about the Giants and some things to ask you about the Saints. How you doing, Bob? Not going well. All right, let's bounce him out and we'll bring him back. That's what we'll do, is tell him to drop out and come back in. Let's go back then. Let's talk. While we're trying to reestablish this connection, the picture looked great. I could hear him just fine. He was looking svelte, except for all those terrible colors he had going on. We're going to be playing the New York Giants this week. We got Saquon Barkley. We've got Odell Beckham Jr. I thought they were going to upset the Saints. And they just could not get things clicking when it came to the offense. Their defense could only hold for so long against Drew Brees and that powerful offense. So we're going to have Bob on. We're going to try to get Bob back here in just a second to talk about these types of things with us. So, Cody, let me just ask you real quick. I know you got some things going on, but what is your idea? Saquon coming to town, man. He's really going to test us a little bit on this defense. But naturally, he's had, I think, every game he's had 100 yards rushing or something like that. Yeah,
and I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if he does it against our defense too. And I'm not even saying that as a knock on our defense. It's just he's that kind of player. You know, he's the type of player that You know, he has that dynamic ability where even when you hit him, he's not down. You know, he's ready to jump back into it. The biggest thing I think for us is we have to be able to rush the passer, get to Eli Manning, and make life hell for them, so that way they're not able to spread the ball around to OBJ and to Barkley and just really box them in.
Let's see if we got Bob on the line here now. Bob, can you hear us now?
Can you guys hear me now?
We can.
Yeah, I do. Let's do it.
All right.
I can hear you a lot better than I could before. I apologize. We're having all kinds of storms up here, so it might be my internet issue.
Well,
That's
dude,
right.
it would not surprise me if it was my crappy internet. Bob, we got you here to talk about what you learned about the New York Giants. The Saints played the Giants. You guys, we're all right. We are all right. Let's get your thoughts on this. Yeah, I think it's just a delay. So I think could you just give us a couple of quick thoughts on the New York Giants and what you guys saw from? All right. Well, I guess we're going to have to try to do this a different time then. All right. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and message Bob. It looks like it's not going to be working tonight. All right. Let's get back to these Giants really quickly.
It's a live broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. This stuff happens.
Good God. It happens every fucking time, dude.
But we keep it rolling, man. We keep on pounding. That's what the motto is. It's all right. Bob's cool people. We've had him on before. We'll definitely have him on again.
All right, let's get to the let's look. Dave Gettleman is making his first road trip with the team, coming to see the Carolina Panthers. And what are your thoughts about how we match up? I feel like we match up pretty good against. I mean, obviously, I think we match up very well against the New York Giants, but they do have some pieces that have been problematic for us. Number one, receivers, they can be tough on us, and good backs have been tough on us throughout the season. The one game we lost was a game that they used the backs tremendously well against us. So I think you keep those things in mind, is that they're a dangerous team with that talent, but limited because Eli is a shell of himself.
He really is, man. Eli Manning has seen better days, and that offensive line is really only able to help him out so much. I mean, there are pictures on the internet of him looking like he's just seen, the face of God. I mean, that guy, he's been beaten up, and that's why I said the most important thing. And tell me if you agree with me here. I think it's the pass rush. I mean, it doesn't matter. Listen, but them having Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr., Sterling Shepard, I mean, they have a Maserati, a Porsche, and a Lambo, and they're ready to go, but they can't take them out the garage. They're stuck with that offensive line that doesn't help them out. And Eli Manning has been kind of hit or miss for a long time now. So, our offense, we're going to have some pieces back, and I know we'll talk about that more. But our defense is what will win us this matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, and their offensive line is stinky. You saw. I think our defensive line is ready to get some too. They have not been the star of the show yet. Out of everybody, the offense and Cam has looked pretty good at times. Christian McCaffrey has been amazing, 184 yards rushing last week. Dante Jackson, 3 interceptions to start his rookie year. Thomas Davis potentially coming back soon, but none of the storylines have been on the defensive line, the defensive front. In fact, if anything, maybe Efe Obada stole some of that shine in just his story alone. But at some point, that dog's got to eat, and that dog being being KK, Poe, Peppers, Addison. And now that you have a safety back there in Eric Reid that you could have some confidence with, this could be the week that the Panthers defensive line gets back on track and feasts and maybe just knocks Eli out of the league permanently.
Listen, man, I am of the mindset that no. Listen, there's mean, and then there's just telling the truth, and I think you're telling the truth. I think Eli Manning. We were all wondering whether or not they even made a mistake drafting Saquon Barkley instead of Sam Darnold and letting Sam Darnold go to the Giants, their hometown rival. There's a quarterback out of Oregon next year that I think they'll probably be very interested in coming out in the draft. But listen, there's one thing that has to be said. We've talked about our defense, but man, on offense, there's one guy that I worry about, and I feel he doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. Janoris Jenkins is still a monster, man, for the Giants. I watched them play the Saints. And, dude, that guy's on every play, man. He makes plays for them consistently all the time.
He's the defensive back, correct?
Yeah, he's a safety for them.
He took Michael Thomas out of the game a little bit. Yeah. I have to go look and see. And that's just from the part of the game I was able to watch. So I didn't watch the entire game. But from what I did see is, like you said, he was the player out there that was frustrating. The guy that usually isn't frustrated. So you can see that. And I think, too, on the offensive side of the ball, Sterling Shepard, pretty sure that's his name. He has been their number 2 kind of slot receiver. He's been pretty darn good this year. The problem is they have zero protection. Saquon is having to get every inch on his own. So that all aligns for us well. The question, I think, coming to us as a team facing the Giants is, how do we look coming off the bye? Historically, we have not played very well coming off the bye under Ron Rivera. I think maybe 2015 being the only successful year after the bye. Maybe last year too. But it's been a dismal record after the bye week. But I think we got a shot in the arm with Eric Reid out there now.
Yeah, we really did. And I feel the past 2 years and in last year and in 2015, we were able to come out pretty strong after the bye. And listen, man, we need to talk about those bye week blessings at some point. But before we do, our man, the Bat Daddy 52, he kind of agrees with us. If our defensive line creates pressure, it'll allow our linebackers to help out on coverage underneath. It all starts with the defensive line, and he's right about that. We have to be able to pressure him at every stop without being able to blitz, too. I think if you double team Odell, put 2 people on him, man up everyone else, and let Luke and Shaq just kind of contain Saquon, we should be able to have a real chance of making this pretty ugly for them pretty soon going forward. I think so. I hope so, at least.
So Maurice Carter Jr. says Samuel and Byrd are back this week. And maybe I'm thinking, too, let's go and just before we get into the cat calls, let's talk momentarily about the bye week blessings. Other than signing a Pro Bowl safety, good news surrounding this Panthers team, and that getting healthy is something we have. I don't even know if we're going to be able to say we are getting healthy, because at some point I'm hoping Matt Khalil doesn't come back. I'm hoping Amini Silatulu doesn't come. Like, I don't want some of us to get healthy in some ways. That's so wrong.
They did say that Matt Khalil was working out on the sidelines or something like that. And when I heard that, I had a pit in my stomach, man. I'm like, hey, maybe bounce to the stands for a little while, Matt. Let older brother be the. Being Khalil
Nobody
on the
talks to
field.
him.
Yeah,
Cam
don't
Newton
talk to
Cam Newton takes a knee when Matt Khalil comes on the field. The whole
Yeah.
story is flipped. Eric Reid's protest doesn't matter anymore. The Panthers protest their own players.
They all start protesting. That's messed up.
Gosh.
They start protesting Matt Khalil. Nah, dude,
Oh,
we have
God,
this other
it's a-
dude that we brought in. He's playing
I
way
know.
better. Just chill for a little while, Matt. But
It's so
but
wrong.
yeah,
It's so wrong.
listen, man, let's count it off. Trey Turner is out of the concussion protocol, so that's a Pro Bowl right guard coming back. Curtis Samuel is healthy, and apparently, according to everyone else, is out on the practice field flying around faster than ever before. If you believe that, your man.
I mean, what can he run? What could Samuel run if he had a good ticker? You know, I mean, his heart is behind him now.
Maybe he's the fastest player on the team, man. Who knows? Who knows? But your boy, we're back to Byrd watching because Byrd is back on the field. Bring out the binoculars, my man.
That's
Because
right.
we're bird watching
Ornithologist.
now. And apparently we're hoping to have them both on the field at the same time. Which, man, just the dynamic of having Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and Byrd on the field, that opens up so much for us. Oh, yeah, then there's this dude. Just getting some pep in his step.
Just Greg
moving
Olsen
around.
over there. Just the greatest tight end in Panthers history.
Just loosening up, getting a little bit limber. I'm not mad at him. Listen, man, normally you want your bye to be later on. But, man, it does feel like a blessing that ours was so early. I mean, we were hurt. We were hurt, banged up, and now we seem ready to be able to move forward with a healthy Panther football team.
Maurice Carter says that's why Cam prays. I think he's referring to the Matt Khalil discussion. Is that there's a lot of good news. I was asked this on Pirate Radio this past week. I thought it was an interesting question. One that was tough for me to answer because of all those things you said, because of all the problems that this team has encountered early. You would hope that we could have a week off where you could rest some of those vets and get them a reboost or a little extra time in the ice tub or whatever they do in the physical therapy room, to whatever shots they inject that make them Superman after just taking 1 week off. But, I've always complained about Panthers having early buys being problematic. My friend Clip, who has a daily show on Pirate Radio 1250 from 3 to 5. You can check that out and get the Pirate Radio app, and I'm on there every Friday. He's a Redskins fan, and he said this: look, the Panthers and the Redskins play each other in, I guess, week. This is it's like 2 weeks from now. It's not that long. It's not this week.
Yeah.
It's
we played the Giants, and then we go. Yeah, we played the Giants, and then we go to Washington.
We both have a bye this week.
Really?
So his point was this: is why couldn't you just make both of our teams buys in 2 weeks, since we're playing each other that week? And I just kept coming back that it must have something to do with TV scheduling, and that to that effect, is that there's something with 1 o'clock games or the venue or something that has to be going on, because week 4 is early.
Yeah, no, it really is very very early. I mean, I remember when I saw it for the first time, I was like, man, you hit that, because normally, and again, we're hoping that it doesn't bite us later on down the road, because Obviously you hope that our players are going to be able to stay healthy from here on out. And if they don't, a bye allows them to be able to have some time off and come back. But, I mean, we were hurt so much so early that, I mean, really it was the best thing that could have happened to us. And the fact that we were able to win those 2 games against Dallas and against Cincinnati while being so hurt, I mean, that's a testament to who we are as a team right now. It was that next man up mentality, and we were able to go out and get it done. I mean, so now think of where the morale is now that we were able to do that without these players, and now we have them back. Man, it just seems like a morale boost overall. I mean, we have a chance to be 3-1, maybe even 4-1, going to Philadelphia in about 3 weeks. That would be absolutely huge for us.
I had a funny or an interesting thought about the state of the Panther team and the NFC South. I follow this Reddit room or sub or whatever they're called, and it's called Shower Thoughts, and it's just like random thoughts of goodness that people come up with. Just like the most bizarre, just kind of weird, offhand, funny stuff. And the thought that I had that would fall under that sub is we're just as far away from being 4-0 as the Atlanta Falcons are to being 0-5 or whatever it is. Right? I mean, if you think about it, is that the only loss that we've had is to the Falcons. It was by a matter of plays, and the only win they have had has been a matter of plays. So we are 2-1. So we're that close to being 3-0. Just a handful of plays, and they're only a handful of plays of being 0-4.
And I love it, man, because I hate the Falcons with a passion, as I know you do as well, man. That apparently the thought of defense hasn't gone to Atlanta. But man, listen, it's like even you even said it that one game. If DJ Moore brings that down in the end zone, it's a tie ball game, and we're going into overtime. And who knows what happens? I believe that game was very uncharacteristic of what our defense is. I believe we're a lot better than that on defense. We have to be able to stop the run. And playing Saquon Barkley, that's going to go a long way on showing us how far we've been able to come since that game. Because the Falcons don't have a running back like Saquon. That's a promise, So this is a big test for our defense. And, I mean, honestly, this is a perfect game for us right now. You never want to sleep on an opponent or take them for granted. But, man, we should be able to do work this Sunday against the Giants. There's no reason why we shouldn't.
It was, I cannot remember what year. It might have been 2015, though. A lot of parallels between this year and 2015, except for we've lost a game already. But we blew out the Giants, and it was so hot. I was at that game. I think it was our home opener, and we just blew out. Like, Eli's laying on the ground, and it was such a momentum catcher for our team. I think we had like 6 interceptions or something crazy like in that game. It was just amazing. So we could really use that boost. And we're about to get into the cat calls, guys. I do want to mention this. Shout out to Mario Marcioni, my boy. And cat calls are his genius. He's the one that came up with the name and told me to do it and went and did it. And it's been the best addition to the show. Mario asked if I was sipping on bourbon. And I just want to relay to him that this is Bushmills whiskey. And according to McNulty from The Wire, I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Wire, but the McNulty's this Irish Catholic drunk, and he is a drunk. And he rolls up into this bar, and he says, "Let me get a Jameson." They said, "Sorry." It's like a black tie event. He was crashing it. And he said, "Sorry. All we got is Bushmills." And guy goes, and McNulty goes, "That Protestant liquor?" He goes, I don't know. He's like, that's Protestant whiskey, right? I don't know. He goes, well, if that's all you got, I'll drink it. So the Bushmills is Protestant, and look, and this is my honor to McNulty, a Catholic drinking Protestant whiskey right here. Guys, it is time for us to jump into the best part of the show, where you, the Panther fan, gets to have your voice heard on the C3 Panthers podcast. This is the Cat Calls line, which is open all the time. I just pulled a call down from 20 minutes ago while we were live on the show. You can leave a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast to get you to feature your voice, because you in the chat room, you in the comment section drive this show, and you on the Cat Calls do as well. So here we go.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use
one? Pretty sure you guys are going to get plenty of phone calls about the Eric Reid signing. And all I have to say is kudos to Marty Hurney as well as David Tepper. This move right here shows the entire Panther Nation that David Tepper and Marty Hurney have a purpose, and that is to win football games. Regardless of anything that takes precedence off the field, the most important thing is what happens on the field. And it's a good signing because our safety thing was just disastrous.
True.
And I just appreciate everything this team is trying to do to maintain consistency and consecutive winning seasons, for crying out loud. So shout out to Marty Hurney and David Tepper. I hope they can continue to do what they're doing. Later.
Fantastic call there. Thank you. I think he's on to something, I think that might be the hidden story. Right. The hidden story being this is that and maybe we were trying to get to this, Cody, when we were talking about, let's not overclap about the move when it's $2 million. It's a guy who's 26, who has all of it. The only risk was, like Lynn said, the PR risk. So, but one of the things I think this tells us is that we believe in this team. We believe that off to a 2-1 start with some of the pieces we have, despite many of these injuries, it's worth it taking that, even if it's a small financial risk, but a larger PR risk. It's a statement that says we want to win and we think we can win today.
And you know what, man? I honestly don't think it's going to be a financial risk. I really don't.
It's not.
Listen,
Zero.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no doubt you're going to have the people, you're disrespecting our flag in America. I'm burning my PSLs and my jerseys and whatever. And by the way, I want to mention, if you're going to burn your clothes or whatever, at least donate them. If you're not going to wear them, we have so many homeless veterans that are on the streets. If you claim to love America, don't burn your shit, man. Just donate it. That's first and foremost. But if Eric Reid comes in and contributes to this team like we want him to, let me tell you, you were never a Panther fan if that isn't going to turn you off to the Panthers forever. And he helps our pass defense go from what is traditionally one of the worst, and if it could become one of the better ones in the NFL, man, we're ready to roll, dude. We have one of the best front sevens in the NFL. This was such a good football signing right now. I love it. I'm not worried about declining sales, and I don't think David Tepper is either.
No, well, first, when you're worth $11 billion, you don't got to worry about losing a little money in the short term for something that's long-term gain. Again, I think, too, as well, is that winning solves everything. So a couple of wins, and all of a sudden that's great. That's going away. And then last is the people that are burning their jerseys, selling their PSLs. You know what they do? They sit on third down. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They sit on third down and they tell you you're making too much noise. So it's not like those people are, well, I don't want to trash them and their personal opinions. I'm not trying to attack those people as well, as in just if you don't like this, then your opinion doesn't matter. I don't want to say that either. But at the end of the day, is W's solve a lot. And they make a lot of people, we've turned our heads over a lot of things in the world when you make money off of it or you get the W in sports. So great call. Interesting to see Tepper out there today with Torrey Smith too.
Hey,
Yeah.
This is Ryan from San Diego.
What's up,
I got an
Ryan?
ISO pick for you guys. Tony, Joey, and Cody, and Maurice. All y'all. All you negative Nancys talking about, you know that we're not going to sign Eric Reid. Now, I left a comment earlier. That was before I listened to the show. But this is now. We have an owner who doesn't touch women's feet. We have an owner who has a pair of brass balls on his desk.
Thank
And
God,
is about winning football games. Because he probably understands the more you win, the more money you're going to make. So I just want to ice up all of you, everybody in Panther Nation, including myself, for being Jerry Richardson-ized and believing that we weren't going to do what David Tepper just did. But still love the show, love y'all. Ice up y'all soreness, and I will tune in next week.
I think, you know what? I'm going to take that ice up. I'm going to put that ice on this sore feelings and say I feel a lot better now. I do think he's right about this, is that we have been numbed by the culture of inactivity by the Carolina Panthers. This is, you brought it up, Cody. Is this not, this is, I would challenge this. Can anybody find a midseason acquisition that is larger than this in Panther history? The only one that in recent memory is, who was that guy we got with, that was the white dude, the pass rusher from Minnesota came in and
Jared Allen.
That was a pretty strong move. I think we traded for, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, that's a guy that passed his career in a time where you were struggling in a position. This is this is the highest profile name that I know since, what was his name? Something Gilbert, back in like, this was like 1999, something, and 97, right after we won that, we went and got that big high price free agent from the Redskins. Oh, the only other name, here is the name, Stephen Davis, Redskins running back, 2003. The Carolina Panthers bring him in. This was preseason, though, before the season got started. Helped us get to a Super Bowl. But it's at that level. So I think we've just been numb to that, Cody, is that like we just weren't used to getting new things.
Carolina has not traditionally been a free agent destination. I mean, point blank. I mean, you know, you mentioned some people, and I'm just going to be honest, that was before my time as a Panthers fan. But, yeah, the one I remember is Jared Allen, and he was a good player for us and came in and really did a good job at holding down that edge and rushing the passer. Yeah, this Eric Reid signing, and listen, I'll happily ice up, man. I will happily ice up. But, yeah, I mean, this is so uncharacteristic of what Panthers have normally done, especially in the middle of the season. So, yeah, it was very unexpected. And, I mean, it'll be very interesting moving forward what kind of year he ends up having with us and what we want to do with him after the year is over. I mean, if he balls out, do we sign him to a longer deal? I don't know. There's a lot left to play out. I know, man.
You're right. We have to see play on the field, and we got to see the kind of momentum in the football world.
Also, and one more thing, it's also the fact that, you know, Ron Rivera and our team, we don't prioritize safeties much at all. I mean, you know, we're bringing in,
as a franchise, we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, what was the guy we brought in from the Saints? Me and my brother.
Harper.
So, yeah, Roman Harper.
Roman Harper. I just called him Ron Harper.
He was serviceable, but I mean, to have an all-star safety is something very different for us. So I don't know. We're all crossing our fingers for the man.
Sean Gilbert was the name I was looking for. The Carolina Panthers signed him in 1998. He was he was a huge free agent we went after, and he would just struggle with injury, did not do well, and the Panthers went on to lose everything. Somebody wrote in the chat room, Keyshawn Johnson, that's a big name. I do think, remember those years, and this was also when you guys were all young pups around that time in the 2000s, where a lot of younger fans today are just coming in. Like 10 years ago, they could have been like 14. The Panthers go out and went. My favorite signing was Vinny Testaverde. We go and get Vinny Testaverde because we have no quarterbacks. Like, we have been through like 20 quarterbacks. That man was like 44, comes off his couch, wins a game for the Panthers. Him and Keyshawn. It's like a 90-year-old roster between two guys. It was crazy. So those are some interesting names from the past that are good. And I do want to point out this to Ryan in San Diego. Maurice Carter says this: "I am humbled. That was a great call." So keep it up and appreciate it.
Yes, it was.
Hey guys, this is Ryan. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina.
Different Ryan.
What's up,
great
Ryan?
Show. Just started listening this season. Love it. Wish you guys would do it more. Love hearing from you guys. I just wanted to say that I'm ready to stop seeing so much Torrey Smith in the offense. I just think he's done. And I don't know really how to feel about it, but Devin Funchess is just he's not doing it for me. I feel like he's always looking for a reason to go down. I feel like he's lazy. I feel like he's almost like he's afraid to take that big hit. So I'm really ready to see some more DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel this week. Maybe get some Byrd up in there. But
whoop, whoop.
I just wanted to know what you guys' thoughts were about Torrey Smith and Devin Funchess and
all right,
where they play their part in our offense going forward. Thanks, guys.
I think, first of all, you're right, is that it's hard to get excited about Devin Funchess. I felt like this is his year to be the guy. And he looks like a guy out there, not the guy. At times he looks like he could be good. At times he doesn't. But it comes down to this. You talk about soft, man, salad. It all comes back to my man's favorite food. Salad.
I knew it. I knew it was coming. This was not a conversation about Devin Funchess. We're talking about salads, folks. Tony Dunn will never let that man live it down. His favorite food is salads.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say that. That tells you a lot about a person. I think I was thinking about this earlier in the show, so great call too. Torrey Smith has been hit or miss. Torrey Smith, right, is actually more miss than hit. He caught that one touchdown, man. If it wasn't for that touchdown that he caught in the last game, I think it was the last game. Was it the Bengals game it was the Falcons game, maybe.
Yeah.
That bullet in the back. If it wouldn't have been for that, we would be saying he hasn't done anything. Now, I had hoped that he was going to come in and be a Ted Ginn. I thought he could be close to that in some ways. I don't know what I think about Torrey Smith, but I wouldn't mind seeing this. You mentioned it earlier in the show, Cody. You mentioned having Curtis Samuel, McCaffrey, and DJ Moore, I think, on the field at the same time. What if you had DJ Moore? What if you had Torrey Smith, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel all on the field at the same time? And then maybe if you went 3 wide receiver set, you went Byrd. It might be the fastest group of people on the Olympic relay team is going to say, "Hey, can we just sub you guys in?"
Listen, one of my favorite sayings of all times is, "If my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle." Okay, so if it's all good in theory, it's all fun to talk about. But, listen, we have to see more. Yeah, we have to see more from some of these guys, man. I agree. Devin Funchess has, we want him to have this breakout season. And there have been some Panther fans that think that he's the number one caliber wide receiver, and I've just never thought that about him. I think he's a more than serviceable number two. Yeah, he's a more than serviceable number two. And listen, man, we might have to have a tough conversation about DJ Moore. I mean, maybe the young man just isn't where we want him to be right now. We might be underwhelmed with DJ at the end of the year. Maybe he is a project, and maybe we have to live with that.
I don't believe it.
All right, but your guess is as good as mine, because right now it's either of two things. Either DJ Moore is not where he's supposed to be, or the coaches are not playing him for some seniority reason or whatever, and the only thing that we want to do is run him on jet sweeps to the left and the right. I mean, I don't know, but either guess is as good as the other at this point.
Yeah, there's a lack of evidence, a lack of data. This is where I feel like a little let down by the DJ Moore story or the whole scenario. Is that you have Torrey Smith, who's not playing just like lights out or anything. He's not like a vet that's come in there and made zero mistakes. He had like 3 false starts that game. I mean, there's been some things. But like, why can't you have this? Is Funchess is ready to be the vet on the field? Why don't you like pair Torrey Smith and DJ Moore, or DJ Moore and Funchess a little bit? You don't go out there and say this is the only group we're going to throw out there. But at the same time, we just really have, how can they know? How can they truly know what they can do with the guy and what the kid can do? We saw this with Moten. Look, Moten's been sitting on the shelf for a whole year. He could have been starting last year at a different place. But, I don't know what it takes. What is that moment? It would be great to have a coach unfiltered tell us, what's that moment when you make the decision to go with the young kid over the old guy? Is it something the old guy did? Is it something the young guy did? What is the
Ron
moment?
Rivera's not that person. Ron Rivera will never tell you what that moment is or isn't. And then we have Brandon Herbert, our boy in the chat. He's like, DJ Moore showed us on one play that he's just not getting the opportunity. And I mean, listen, maybe that's true. I'm hoping that is true, but then at the same time, I'm hoping that it isn't, because I want our coaches to have more foresight, especially when we were playing 2 games without Samuel, without Byrd. That should have been his time to shine.
Yeah.
And yet we're still sitting here kind of talking about, hey, man, where's DJ Moore? Is it the coaches? Is it the player? I mean, we really don't know, man. And especially, look, shout out to Mel Mayock talking about with the Falcons, Calvin Ridley. Yeah,
and we're going to have to hear it every Sunday.
Listen, you look at what Calvin is doing for the Falcons. I think he had 3 touchdowns against the Bengals or something like that. I mean, the dude is just balling, man. So, I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions.
He's in a pretty good scenario, though. In that when you got Julio on the other side, is that you're not asking him. Yeah, you're not asking him to come in and be a number 1. If DJ comes in, you're actually asking him to compete as a number 1. You don't have enough firepower around him at the moment with just Funchess or just Torrey Smith that he becomes the guy to defend, which I don't know how much that really changes things. But you're absolutely right. Is Calvin Ridley has put up like 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks. He's been playing snaps. He's been out there. He's had the opportunity. But we also, too, we heard that Calvin Ridley was the most polished out of the group. We heard those types of things, is that it's been about DJ Moore's upside. But look, you're not going to get any argument from us, I think, on the podcast. I think for me, I actually have more grace with Torrey Smith than I do with Devin Funchess. I was really hoping that this was going to be Devin Funchess' year, that he just proved me wrong, that he was a steak, dude.
He will never be a steak, dude. Never.
All right, let's head to the next call.
Caesar salads or bust.
Caesar salad pushing the edge. The envelope.
Yeah, we're really pushing the edge.
I went with the buffalo chicken fried salad, bro. It is crazy up in
Ooh.
here. Woo, it's a little hot, a little spicy.
Now we're
The
talking.
only black person that don't like hot sauce, probably. I think we're gonna get a play here somewhere.
This is your boy, Mr. Cam Newton makes people stupid himself, aka DJ D3. Listen, I'm stoked over the signing of Eric Reid. That gives us some positive reinforcements on the back end. Because let's be real, let's be honest. Nobody wants to watch Colin Jones play safety. He can play special teams, but he's pretty much toast when he plays safety. So we really needed Reid. And for all of you cats out there that just can't get past the fact that he kneeled for the national anthem, I'll tell you what I always say on Twitter. Ignore it like you ignore the racism. Everything will be all right. But one day we'll have a conversation about that. Until then, go Panthers, keep pounding.
Rev Rico speaks. This is David Locklear. I know that voice. I know that name. That's the Girl Gang security guard. David Locklear, a.k.a. Rev Rico speaks on Twitter. He just said, ignore it like you ignore the racism. Just look the other way, folks. It's a look. Despite all the controversy surrounding, which I think is like overblown controversy, I think all the protest controversy has been way blown out of proportion by people that dislike it, as well as the NFL in their own manner. But at the end of the day, we needed a lot of help at safety, and it's hard to argue pound for pound, player for player. There's a better option out there on the free agent market. In fact, it's not available to argue. It just doesn't exist.
But by the way, I just wanted to let you know what you've started. There is a conversation in the chat about salads. Okay, and this is 100% on you. This is your fault. You started this. but it's all right, man. We're gonna move on.
Are you a Caesar salad guy?
Hell no, man. I have never been excited to eat a salad in my entire life.
Hey,
I'm not
Cody. I'm not. He's the number one.
I'm not. Listen, man. I'm not anti-salad. I've just, I've never been excited about a salad in my entire life. All right, I don't care what you put in it.
It's an appetizer, bro. It's an appetizer. It's not the meal. That's right. That's right. Look at this. Demario Welsh in the YouTube chat signing in from Greenville, North Carolina. G Vegas in the building. My man is from my hometown. And my hometown is the place I still reside. We're neighbors, bro. We're G Vegas neighbors. Hottest girls in the world. Promise you that.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, right. Look, is that I put ECU girls up against every college. Any college, I will put the ECU girls up against. Like, that's how they roll around here. So much so that when I go to other colleges and then you see, like, I went to UGA and you go to the game and they're all like, girls are all decked out and I'm like, shh, this is really disappointing. ECU girls, they look better. Sorry.
So
we're hometown heroes.
What you're saying is the girls at UGA are straight busted. Is what you're trying to say.
Something to that effect. Actually, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. They were all Falcons fans. Them bitches were all Falcons fans. Ugly.
I'm not mad at you, man. I'm not mad at you.
They look like that damn stadium. All right, let's keep going with these cats.
Hey guys, this is Mel. I know you guys are probably talking about Eric Reid. I think that's probably going to come up in the show tonight. I just wanted to say, when I heard the news, I was in a shopping mall and I literally did a spinning fist pump, which I didn't know was a thing until I did it.
Whoa! That's a brand
in my mind that it wouldn't happen. If it didn't happen in the bye week, then it wasn't going to happen at all. So I had a little bit of faith, but my faith was waning. And sure enough, we actually went ahead and signed him. So I was a happy camper this weekend. And then, of course, Tampa Bay and Atlanta losing. I actually watched the Atlanta game. That was a crazy game.
Yes, it was.
Hopefully they lose next week as well to the Steelers, that's going to be another tough game between two teams that really need a win. And that'll probably go ahead and knock Atlanta out of contention for the South, hopefully. Well, keep it up, guys. Keep pounding. It's been a week without football, but or Panthers football, but a good week.
Yeah, good week. It's spinning fist pump week, baby. That's good.
Man, that's a brand new move. It's a brand new move.
I mean, it's a little rodeo up in there. He made it is that, you know what, is that it is one of those things. It's kind of funny to hear people with their I was at stories when it came to Eric Reid. I've heard a lot of these, like I was doing because it's on the bye week. It's the day after our show in some ways. Well, actually, that's the whole thing. That's the only thing to remember. It was the day after the C3 podcast. That's when the news drops, always on Wednesday. So we got to wait all the way till Tuesday. But
one of the first things I did was text you. I remember I was telling to know. I have to text.
I'm coming out of class. I mean, it's just is so we can all identify with that. But going to that Atlanta Falcons team, I believed in them in a way that, like, I think that they have a good team and a lot of talent on their team. They've had a lot of things go against them. They lose by a point. What was it not to the Saints, to the Bengals, but they lose in a similar fashion, I believe, to the Saints the week before. A lot of tight games that could have gone the other way. But I tell you one thing, there's one person that was the difference in that Falcons Bengals game, and he wasn't the difference in our game. That's AJ Green. He got hurt. We're one score. Yeah. It's a one-score game from us and them. It was a one-score game for them, and AJ Green catches a game-winning touchdown at the end. Glad he wasn't there.
Listen, let me just say, I don't know why you would ever believe in the Falcons. The Falcons blow more leads than Kardashians blow NBA players, man. Like, it's a thing, dude. That's a real thing. And you can use that line wherever you need it because it's 100% the truth, man. Listen, you never, ever, ever, ever trust Atlanta. You don't do it. You just don't do it. They will always burn you, and they're not dependable.
With chlamydia.
Yeah. They're never dependable. They never will be. I've never believed in them. The Falcons are like electrons. As soon as you stop looking at them, they don't exist anymore. Okay? They're done. I never believed in them. Yeah, nerd joke. Listen, man. It's always been the Saints and the Panthers that I felt would be the contenders in this division. I'll never be sold on Atlanta until they actually prove to have a legitimate defense. That's all I got to say.
Wow. Good for you. All right. Last cat call.
Big fan of the. Hey guys, I'm a big fan of the show. I just want to say keep up the great work, and I was for you guys. Don't think Captain Munnerlin's been playing too well this year. I think we should.
I agree.
Give Corn a chance to get in there, but it seems like we're reluctant to play him for whatever reason. And to Cody, go Knowles.
No.
Hey. There he is. Listen, he's a Seminoles fan. I don't even have to say anything. No, look, that's my bud. Me and him talk on Twitter a lot. And yeah, Captain Munnerlin, where's he been? Have you seen him do anything?
Not good.
Yeah, Traylon. I mean, put Corn Elder in, man. Let the young guys have some shine, man. Corn played well in the preseason.
I think that gets easier now this week in the next 2 weeks. Number one, you got a veteran in Reid coming in that's going to help that safety group, that back end of the concern if a rookie makes a mistake is that it ruins you. So when you have Mike Adams, who's Father Time back there, but with an athletic veteran too, who's very confident in Eric Reid, I think you can take a little bit more chances up front than you would have been able to 2 weeks ago. I think you add Thomas Davis to the mix a little bit. You put Luke Kuechly out there, Thomas Davis, Eric Reid, James Bradbury, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel like you're starting a ton of rookies. If you would have had, say that lineup is Shaq, James Bradbury, Deshaun Jackson, Corn Elder, Galden, and Mike Adams. It's too many rookies all at one time. So I think maybe the stars are coming into alignment that we might be able to see a little bit more Corn Elder. But at the same time, this Panthers staff has not been known for going with the young hot hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's an understatement. But, I mean, yeah, listen, I just think that, and something that we didn't talk about when it comes to Eric Reid is that Ron Rivera said in one of his press conferences that they plan on playing him just about everywhere in the backfield, from nickel to, single high. I mean, they really want to use him everywhere. And, that kind of intrudes on what Captain Munderland would be doing. And frankly, you want Eric Reid in the nickel position more than you do Captain Munderland, especially if you watch the tape. That's something we didn't mention. Against the run, Eric Reid has been one of the better safeties in the NFL for a long time. So what was already
He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
He's a very big dude. He's built like a linebacker. So, man, Captain Munderland, unless he steps it up, we have players around him that might be able to do the job better than him. So it's time to put up or shut up for everyone on the team, man. You have to earn your spot.
He's 6'1". Cap is like 5'4", and he weighed out of college 213 pounds. I think that might have been out of college. I think he's got to be. He's listed on NFL.com as 6'1", 213 pounds.
There's no
but
way,
a lot of
dude.
A lot of people have said this is that he looks bigger in person, just like he said in his press conference. He said, "Oh my Lord, that's Julius Peppers over there." Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That is an Adonis of a man. You ain't ever seen something like that before. He's built a special way in God's image. Sorry, maybe a little too thick there at the end.
No, hey, I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm on your side.
All right. Let's. Those are the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We appreciate everybody for calling in tonight and letting us hear your opinion. It's really nice to hear people say that they listen to the show, because we've just been doing it for 6 years, and we just kind of keep talking to ourselves and the people that are in the chat room, which has been amazing. Their support, YouTube chat, has been fantastic. Everybody on Twitter. So continue to help us by smashing that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, tell the friend about a show, and consider calling into that cat calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. I do want to get into a couple more things before we close out and get to our ice up picks, though. Marty Herney, he gets in there, and he's talking on WFNZ. He's asked first about Eric Reid and if he talked with David Tepper about this move. And I do want to play this just to hear if we can get any clues about what David Tepper is thinking about this. Here's Marty Herney on WFNZ talking about signing Eric Reid and if he had talked with David Tepper.
Did you get David Tepper's blessing with this?
Frank, we talked. I mean, every time we make a decision, I talk to the owner, I talk to the head coach, and everybody is always on the same page. So that, and everybody was on the same page. And again, we thought he was a guy who could come in and help our football team.
Marty, we do want to talk to you about a lot more than this signing. So
I think a lot of those things have been talked about to this point, Cody. Is that first is that the owner's fingerprints are on this. Yes. And not that maybe I don't believe that Tepper's out there going and saying this is what I need you to do. or what I think you should do. I think Tepper is saying, don't be scared to do what you think helps us win. And so, I think that you're going to talk about this. The idea that a GM calls up a player and doesn't ask the head coach or the owner seems like a ridiculous idea.
Yeah. But all right, well, let me ask you to do this. Put your tinfoil hat on for just a minute, if you will, because go ahead, place it firmly on your head so no camera waves can get into the brain. Okay.
Safe. Safe.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So there's a theory running around that David Tepper, since he's the newest owner in the Billionaire Boys Club, that is the NFL owners, that, and you and I talked about it. It seemed as if somebody signed Eric, all of a sudden this collusion case is kind of like, well, it doesn't have any legs to stand on, because he's on the football team. So
right. That's what I thought.
I'm of the mindset that David Tepper would have done this anyway. I mean, he was on record saying that he believes they're very patriotic, doesn't think that they're unpatriotic. But do you think it's possible that maybe some of the other higher ups in the NFL were like, hey, man, nudge, nudge, why don't you take one for the team and bring in this Eric Reid fellow and make this problem go away for all of us?
I don't think so. And the reason I say I don't think so is because of how adamant that Eric Reid was in his press conference that his lawsuit would continue and that this was not an indication of what they thought. But he believed his case to be strong. He believed his case to be tied to Colin Kaepernick's, and one that he's not ready to drop just because somebody gave him $2 million to play a season that he should have been playing. I think so. I don't think that. I kind of wonder this. Is Tepper's the new boy to the club? He almost can't be implicated. He could be legally implicated as an owner in the NFL if they were to find collusion, because he's suing the NFL, not individual owners. But at the same time, this is before his tenure in so many ways. So the new guy is doing these things. He could be deflecting for the other owners, or he could just be the guy that's an 11 billionaire that doesn't care what anybody says, doesn't call anybody. But I would like to point out today, David Tepper was with Torrey Smith talking to the Charlotte District Attorney about bail reform. And what we did not hear in the call from Rev Rico Speaks that he has mentioned to me is that, he's asked about a lot of these questions about Eric Reid and will he protest, what his protest be? Well, how does it change your protest or the way you do things if you really feel like your owner is behind you enough to actually be involved in making change? Not just saying like, hey, we're signing, but like they're talking to the district attorney with you. And you mentioned this before, is that he said these things where he was unprompted to say them about what these protests were. There seems to be a little authenticity to go with that David Tepper. He's putting not only his money is where his mouth is, but his actions where his money is.
Listen, and you sort of alluded to it yourself. I mean, the man is very strong in his beliefs and opinions. David Tepper, I'm speaking about, and I mean, you don't get to, have $11 billion making stupid decisions and making bad bets. In fact, his job was making really, really good bets when other people was telling him that they were bad bets. So yeah, listen, the man is smart. The man has foresight. I think that he's really brought something to our team. I mean, you and I have both been on Twitter. We've been around the internet. I genuinely cannot recall one comment bashing David Tepper for anything or saying any negative thing about him. Now, it's very early on still. He hasn't been the owner very long. But him and Eric Reid, I haven't seen negative comments about either of them. I mean, they both seem to have a lot of positive energy around them, and thereby it means there's more positive energy around the whole team right now.
Shout out to Stackhouse Mentality in the YouTube chat room. Says he listens every week, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the support from Aaron Trimby, biggest fan. So all these things are all y'all support mean a lot to us, and we're just Panther fans talking Panther football together. You're talking about positives. I think one of the things that's positive coming out of the bye week was Efe Obada had a fantastic game. We talked about it last week in the show. Here's Marty Herney talking about Efe Obada making the team.
And he comes every day with a high motor. He works hard every day, the same work ethic every day. And honestly, Ron Rivera started talking about Efe as far as a consideration for the 53 from the first week of training camp. And he just kept saying that he's got length and he's got the skill set and he's got the work ethic. And when we came down to deciding the 53, he was a guy that we just thought had earned the position and knew that he had a high ceiling and would get better and better. I would have never told you at that point that he would come into the Cincinnati game and have a sack and almost 2 sacks with a strip fumble and an interception. I mean, it was just a phenomenal effort, and it really is a feel-good story.
You know, Marty, it's funny. You know, a lot of times is.
All right, so one of the things that I like about this story about Efe Obada, first, I think we learned a little bit about who was pulling for Efe. We learned that this is Ron Rivera. I like this. What I think about this is Ron Rivera, the way I see it, is like a coach who sees somebody. I usually see this with an offensive coach where they find a guy that they think has the arm strength, the body fit, or whatever, and they're like, we can train him and mold him into what we want him to be. I think Efe Obada is this in so many ways. He's got the body of a lineman. He just is unpolished, and Ron Rivera sees him as an opportunity to refine him into a player that he truly wants to be. So I like that in that case. I do think this is, I continue to say that Efe Obada is what we wanted Ryan. He's Ryan Delaire in Frank Alexander's body. He's got the personality of a guy that you want to cheer for, with the body that, you know, nobody wanted to cheer for Frank Alexander. He sucks. He just didn't turn out to be a good pro, but he had the physical skill set. So you're trying to marry those two things together. I think that's Efe Obada.
And you know what I love? I love his British accent, because I think the British accent is one of the most, like, you know, disarming accents that there is. It's so not tough. It doesn't send a chill down your spine. But then you have a guy like Efe that could just absolutely destroy you. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think that's kind of awesome. But also the fact that, you know, the UK isn't really represented in the NFL in that kind of way. And now the Panthers get to be a way in which they are represented. I love him. I said I hope that he replaces Wes Horton. You know, I mean, I'm not 100% mad at Wes Horton. I just think that he could be a better pass rusher. And if Efe could come in and, you know, do some things better, then, yeah, man, he could be the perfect defensive weapon that we need at this time. I'm loving him. I'm loving the story. I love his work ethic. He's the first one to practice every single day. Every day he's the first one there. So that man is working, putting in the time. I love it, man. I'm loving Efe Obada.
So Efe reminded me of something that or helped me come to an idea about why I think we like who we like, why we follow some of the storylines we do, and why we ultimately like sports a lot. I think it has to do with personalities. I think we are gripped by personalities. We are gripped by personalities that are infuriating. We're gripped by personalities that are endearing, personalities that are compelling. There's just something about that human personality, that human charisma, whether it be good or bad charisma. I think that's why we like a Randy Moss. First of all, I love a Randy Moss. I think he's got personality. I think Michael Irvin, the reason that Michael Irvin is making it in these broadcasts is these guys have personalities more than takes that are endearing to them. And I think that is what we have with Obada, is not only is his story compelling, a lot of people have compelling stories, but when you hear him tell the story, you're gripped by it. Here is Efe Obada on Garcia and Bailey.
Efe, take me through your thoughts, your emotions when you're laying out there stretching, in front of 80,000 and you've arrived. You feel
all right. I do want to pause it there and say this: is Frank Garcia went Oprah Winfrey on them. Take me through your emotions. Where were you feeling? But good job, Frank. That was stepping out of your comfort zone.
Like, because I can remember vividly my first game, my first start and what that was like. And you just explain to people how special that is. It's almost like it gives me goosebumps thinking it right now for you because of, all the challenges that we all have to get to that point. And you're right there in that moment.
I went through the spectrum. I went from excited to anxious to scared to happy to grateful to, I went through the whole spectrum. But and the once I got in the field, I just played football and just made sure I had fun and made sure I gave it everything. I didn't want to leave that field feeling like I could have done more and I could have been somewhere. And that's what I did.
That personality right there, you're moved by it. He just is. It's honest. It's authentic. It's real. And I'm not saying that everybody needs a story where they go and they're trafficked from Nigeria to Denmark or wherever he was to the Netherlands, that then goes to and has this conquer the world story to be fascinated. I just think there's something about his personal charisma that adds to that. And you continue to hear it here. He's asked how he's gotten to this moment.
Well, we just do what I do. I don't have to answer that. That's a very just go back to the lab and just work on it. Just keep preparing the way I prepared and take the coaching, and because the coaches they're really good at what they do. They prepare us really well, and just take in what they say, believe in it, trust the call, and do my job, and and success will come.
Well, if he's not going to be a Panther in the future, he will certainly be a Patriot with that attitude of do my job. He was asking, I'm sorry, I misframed the question. That question was asked, how do you get better after a week like that? He said, go back to the lab. I love that.
Yeah. Everything that he says seems like it comes from a very genuine place. He's a very humble guy. He puts his head down and then goes to work. And that's the type of player that our coaches love. I think that's the type of guy that fits into our locker room. And listen, man, if he produces for us, who knows, man? Maybe him and Eric have a new contract at the end of the year. The guy looks every bit of, 6
he looks
foot
the
5,
part, don't he?
275. He's almost as tall as Julius Peppers. He is a physically imposing man. He seems very humble. And again, if you read his story, that man has been through some things. And, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And he is a very strong man because of the things that he's been through. I don't know anyone that isn't pulling for him. Considering we don't know how much longer Julius Peppers is going to be wearing a Carolina Panther uniform, and we don't know when he's going to sail off into the sunset of retirement. Efe Obada, I always mess up his name. He might be just what the doctor ordered at this time right now, man. We need a pass rusher big time, and I'm hoping it's him, man. He has the work ethic to do it, and that's what I'm looking at.
And how do you not love a guy that says this?
Honestly, it was just win. That's what we do. We practice winning. Win.
We practice winning. All we
Practice
do is
winning,
win. That's right. Way to
No
go,
matter
Efe.
what.
We're cheering for you. It's been it's a great story. It's a great story beyond just the story that I know everybody it pulls at the heartstrings. I think it's a great story just hearing a practice squad guy getting to it. To me, that's enough of a story to be really exciting. That's why I pull for Byrd so much, is that these personalities are so big. All right. Last, I think, subject for the night, Michael Pilardi has been he was signed to an extension, and I think it's deserved in so many ways, is that Michael Pilardi has come from another guy that feels like a practice squad, a competitor, a guy that I don't know if we drafted him, how he got on the team. I know we picked him over Andy Lee at one point, and to save some money. He got a contract extension, and like someone mentioned earlier in the show, is making more money than Eric Reid. But the specialists, they're happy about this, aren't they, Cody?
Oh yeah, they're super happy about it. In fact, they're so happy. Our incredible Twitter team decided to make a video.
What is that? Three's Company?
I do believe that is what that is. Yes, an homage to Three's Company, and apparently they're all best friends. Those three.
Of course they are. No one else talks to them.
Hey man, punters are people too. Punters, long snappers. Everyone loves to talk crap about a field goal kicker until they have to win the game for you. Listen, man.
I thought she was talking about mine.
I mean, we both have some pretty cheesy smiles, so who knows? Yeah, man. Listen, I'm a fan of that deal. When you're able, your punter flips the field, on those fourth downs that you hate so much. You have to be able to put the ball all the way on the other end and flip the field. And he was sitting on the sofa when we brought him in, just not doing too much. And then we bring him in, and he's been wonderful for us. And you paid those players. I love him. I love what he brings to the team. I'm a fan of that signing. Another thing to mention, and my question to you, Tony, is, do you remember another time where the Panthers have been so active during the season, signing players to extensions? Because this also kind of seems to be a new thing for us.
I don't know. That's a tough question, because it's one of those things that you forget about it when it happens. Before and after it happens, you remember it at the moment. But it seems like this is like, why is this? Why is it that you are negotiating with Michael Pilardi? It's not like he's going to hold out. Does he hold out or something? Like, what's the impetus for this? You secure some things, maybe you lock up some rates. But the question is this man, are these efforts, are these moves to help us in other areas? Because a lot of times you sign guys to free up immediate money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of just trying to read into the tea leaves.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe it's a sign to everyone else that, hey, if you do good stuff, we see you. We will reward the work that you do on the field. And maybe other players see that. Maybe Eric Reid and Efe Obada and some of these other guys that are going to have to be paid sometime soon. Maybe they see that. And they take that as, we have a front office that they're not going to be stingy if we're going out there doing things for the team right now. So maybe it's a message, and maybe it's just shoring up a punter that helps us out a whole bunch. I don't know.
To reference to what Maurice is talking about, I think Charlotte Vibe is going to have Efe on, interview him in the next day or so, or like in the next shortly.
Yeah.
I know that Efe's has committed to it. So you guys send at Charlotte Vibe your questions. He'll ask a man of the people. That's what Cody Lashney calls him.
Man of the people. That's who he is.
All right. Quick, we'll just do this. Is who you got? I got the Panthers this week against the Giants. I think it's going to be, I don't want to say easy work, but I would certainly be disappointed if this game is any closer than that Bengals game was.
Yeah, I'm hoping to limit them to under 20 points. My early estimate, I'm saying 31-17 Panthers at home. Yeah, their points are scored garbage time. Yeah.
Right.
That's
all
what
right.
I'm thinking.
Guys, this has been a fantastic show. We can talk all night about the Carolina Panthers, but we are going to try to get out of here. We still have our ice up picks to do, but before that, remember to follow the show at @cat_chronicles. Cody, where can they find you on Twitter?
At CODYLAC on Twitter. I respond to everyone. Hey, I wanted to say, man, our cat calls have been so lit. It feels like every single Tuesday we have new people calling in, wanting to talk to us, appreciating what we do, and we appreciate you all. We love you. We love that you come and join us every Tuesday night. Come chill with us every Tuesday and every Sunday after the football game. We're doing a reaction show, so come hang out with us and holler at me on Twitter.
Yeah, you can catch the post-game show after the game, and you can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. We encourage everybody, look, you can buy cool gear like this, the Voice of Panther Nation C3 t-shirt on the website, I Stand With Cam. The links are in the show notes. We appreciate any support there. And not that the money really does. I mean, the money does help in like pay the bills that I would just pay out of my pocket anyway. We're going to keep talking Panthers whether you like it or not, whether you pay for it or not. But hey, it does help to grow the show, grow us to do some more things. But also just go ahead and give us a subscribe. Tell us about the show. Thanks to all the people that are in the C3 Fantasy Football League. I'm going to get on kind of the update. I'm going to try to do it. I've been, I want to do it every week, but sometimes it's easier for me to put it together 2 at a time. I've got 5 packages to send out. I got to send out like 12 t-shirts to Cody. I got to send like 12 t-shirts to our boy J-Dub. I got a lot of things to mail out. Got a lot of children to take care of. I need y'all love and prayers. That's what I need for strength. Keep going. Keep pounding. Cody, let's jump in and do the longest section of this, the longest running segment, the one that everybody loves the most. And that's the ice up picks, where we tell somebody ice up, toughen up to get it together. Who you got?
Man, I have a man by the name of Dennis Dickey, 37 years old, out of Tucson, Arizona. And listen to this idiot, man. He was an off-duty Border Patrol agent, and he wanted to do an explosive gender reveal party for his family and friends. But instead, he ended up igniting a giant wildfire to the Coronado National Forest in Arizona. He has to pay more than $8 million in restitution, and he has a $100,000 initial payment and monthly payments thereafter. And listen, man, one, this doesn't even explain what happened during the incident, but what are you doing that's so dangerous during a gender reveal party that you end up sparking a forest fire? Dude, you're doing too much. I mean, I don't know. It's as stupid as a stupid does, I suppose. But to this man of Tucson, Arizona, Dennis, ice up, son. ice up?
Oh man, I had a good ice up earlier and I just totally forgot it. I just had a brain fart. I feel like when I ice up this, I want to ice up Philadelphia for losing to Tennessee. Yuck. Ice up Atlanta for losing to Cincinnati. But here's what I'm going to tell you. This, it just helped me come to my ice up pick. And my ice up pick goes to people that thought Tampa Bay was good. I told you on this show last week that I believe Tampa Bay to be fool's gold. I told you that I know one thing is that when you watch them just hurling the ball up there, putting up 40 points, it ain't going to work. I don't believe, look, you got to have a defense to win. You got to have a running game to win. It might not be sexy. It might not mean that you win, but I have yet to see a team that can win without a at least mediocre defense. So I'm icing up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for being straight sorry. And I'm going to say thank you for that. I'm also going to say thank you for not picking up Eric Reid. And for all y'all people out there, it just doesn't make any sense to be so upset with someone's personal opinions that I don't know. I don't even care what you think about Eric Reid. Is that the idea that dude's sitting on the shelf and 28 damn teams need a safety right now? It's crazy. So ha Atlanta, you didn't get him. Ha Tampa, you didn't get him. Ha New Orleans, you didn't get him. We got him, and even if he ain't even that good, you can't have him. So I say ice up to you, particularly Tampa Bay.
Ice him up.
All right, guys, that's the C3 podcast. Maurice Carter. Check the YouTube show notes. The link to the I Stand With Cam shirt is in the YouTube show notes. You can also find the other links to the other T-shirts up there. We do take PayPal and all of that. And look, guys, we're going to be here next Tuesday. But before then, we're going to be here on Sunday talking about this win, this W we're going to get over the G-Man. Best of love to old Dave Gettleman that he's getting healthy and traveling now. But I hate to kick you in your old fanny because that's what we about to do. Cody Lashney, are you excited for that post-game show?
I am super excited, man. Listen, after the game, that's when the emotions are hot. Everybody, come join us. We're going to be talking about everything that you just saw. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you hate. We're going to respond directly to you. You know we love Panther Nation. We're looking forward to the game. And then this show we do after, that's just the cherry on top, man.
All right, fantastic, guys. We'll check you out next. We'll check you out Sunday with the Panthers move on to the W. We'll have lots to talk about. It's the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. And until then, keep pounding.